Okay, so Spotify, YouTube, T-Mobile. So we're working on different accounts, and we're working up to about 939 different accounts for up to 939 different passengers that usually drive a Z71 Suburban. So it's most likely that they're going to have that in 936 weeks from now. And it's pretty much where you're using your PMC2 squared experience points as you're eating more towards macaroni, sausage, um, ribs, brisket sandwiches. You welcoming yourself into the central coordinates of southwestern Bell, and that's pretty much where you get in a lot of the New Deal era, the medieval century, free trade agreement. You getting all that stuff, so that's pretty much where you getting 739 hours of processing and a bit of entertainment, as well as you see trade start to happen from different categories of the state. So that's just not all Mr. Catfish as you would expect it to be, with $98,848 14 cents trans-tax, which primarily goes back to the reduced rate of the products after they get used 938 times a month. And it's pretty much after you using predominant fried products at that time. So it's just any PFG product or any McLean product. You're just going off the protein and the carbohydrates um and the calories off the next one. And the thing is, in my perception, calories are not bad. For the most part, they just give you enough fat. And if you want to be a nice size, you want to eat that nice fat. And it's pretty much where you want to be a nice thorough size, your nice thick size. If you eat like 16 of them, you'll be the size you want to be, if that's more in your route to eat, more likely. And it's pretty much where you want to be able to provide a dense benefactor to that type of deal, inspired by enterprise luxury. And that's running up with just about 399 subscriptions. So you got many different traits of what that item could store for itself in that type of category, listing that there is Macy's, Kmart, and Kohl's in there as well. So you got multiple different systems within that agreement. And it's pretty much where free trade is more accepted at the time, as you got more opinion to shop, more opinion and privilege to shop how you like, with the common law and right that you have with your county laws. So it's pretty much where you're using 1978 to 2098 as you getting a full privilege right of where you stay, where you represent, what you represent, and what coordinates do you represent in your landscape ownership. And that's pretty much where you just using many different subscriptions to convey your process of how to obtain land and how to gain prosperity with it, as far as having something to eat, and having a extracurricular activity that keeps you from being bored. And that's pretty much what Eco Herb does on a subscripted channel, which is pretty much promoting recreation at the time. So it's pretty much where you can do whatever you like at the time. You just got to be responsible, respectful, and know that you're in a auditorium atmosphere at the time. So it's pretty much working on 2008 of 2024, and it's pretty much where you get more of enterprise midpoints coming in at another midpoint of selections, which is another coordinate from another location. And it can be from 799 different locations, and they still provide the same answer, and you still get different results from it. So that's basically where you get more and embedded with your 90 percentage rate. So it's pretty much dealing with $97,714 there in 20s, as you transition that throughout Comcast, Google Fi, PMC2 squared, Mrs. Catfish, and more. And just got to make sure you're getting a $9,848 receptance out there, and don't be afraid to drop it in 20s if that's what you need to do. If you need to drop 920s, 820s, 420s, 820s, that's fine. You just go ahead and drop that, and Cedric will invent that for you. So it's pretty much where you get T-Mobile satellites within hotspots within its local networks. So that's up to about 799 cubic units in every midpoint in T-Mobile and Comcast tribulations of being able to listen and comprehend and speak a language at the same time. So it's pretty much using $239.39 of communication and representation, where you can gain that file instead of being in 1878 of 2098. So that's pretty much where you're using those jurisdictions within the state, of many different networks, whether it was Deep Eddy or Little Stacy or Enfield or Ballcones or Dick Nichols or even Shipe or Ramsey, Stacy. You just got to make sure everybody's getting a coordinate in that graph, because it is big T-Mobile benefits within that, and that's where you're getting the propelled benefits coming from. And that's basically where you're working on every point that of is worth $37,714 at that point. So it's pretty much every 3 point coordinate is pretty much where you want to get the instance of having at least $377 of that profit. And that's pretty much where you're using capitalism. And basically when you're using capitalism like 3 dimes is pretty much where you're using efficiencies of how to concept and deposit extra fundings like that. So that's basically consumed as a lead as well on orange, green, and blue lat. So you just basically getting the chronicles in, and in addition to the chapters that go in addition to the scenarios that go on. So that's pretty much where you're using that, and we're using scenarios and conflicts and stuff like that to promote the detail with that. So that's pretty much what we're seeing here: a conflict, the detail, the scenario, and the situation. And that's pretty much where all co-managers use, or all management uses at this advantage time. Sensitizing that it is my type of program, and basically I'm in my program just because multiple people left, multiple people came, and then it's been like that since 2012. So that's basically where we being able to promote better exchanges within 839 different scenarios. So it's either going to turn out good or it's going to go bad. So all in all, that's a code of some type. So it's basically where you got to watch that and be able to synchronize that into your 530 hour incline. So, you're basically being able to put 530 dimes into your acknowledged acknowledged perceptions, and it's pretty much where you're using lens crafters and using a certain 7883 code exchange of 8, H, and 7. And it's pretty much where you're using a more distribution side of the restaurant, and being able to promote more for the food exchange. And it's pretty much where you're using the whole logistics of the detail to promote more for the TV networks. That goes towards Comcast, Hulu. You got many more stuff like that, and it's basically where you're using 705 chapters or characters, or even films at the time. So you just basically categorize it how you want to, since it's earlier in the day. It's 2005 of 2028. So basically using 2007 Sirius is at the time, and being able to use your 2015 recollection style of 10th grade. So it's pretty much where you're getting a fair deed, and being able to spend a neutral $75,925 $75,925.20, and it's pretty much where you're getting more of that interest rate as you building your deposits up in that bank statement. So it's pretty much where you're using more towards a reference note to promote more for the $79,925, and the reason why it's so protected at this time is just because it has two or more forms that may propel the situation. And that's basically what we use a T-Mobile propelled what is it called? Propelled benefits. And it's pretty much where you're using $799 to profit off of the certain detail that you want. So that's just looking at Sears, Best Buy, Target, of different scenarios and theories. So it's just basically goes to the fire truck of 731 dimes that has up to $79,925 of conflicts that you can resort just by annotating through the science fiction of the sort. And just basically navigating your way through the explore mode of how you use third grade, fourth grade, and ninth grade of 1980 to 2024. And it's basically being able to be a swift exchange at the time. And that's basically where you're using 1979 with 2024, which is a group of at least 739 counties of distance and coverage at the time. So all in all, T-Mobile is the one with most coverage, even the ones that are particularly the ones in the house particularly. So it's basically where you're using more of 79,925 of trans tax coming from $315,000 stack. So it's pretty much where you're using the bank's transaction fee to purchase more towards what you want from Sears or Target or Sam's for the holidays. And it's pretty much where you're using that individual process again. So all in all, you're using $79,925 17 times at least at this time So, on that particular 739 dime. So, that's pretty much where you're using the demographics of that stuff. So, all in all, we're just working on it. And, that's a group of 9848. You see different codes like that. So that, that's just a serial number that keeps you propelled benefits. So, that's what T-Mobile works for, to gain extra leisure and conference in 2018. So, that's pretty much where you're starting the whole benefit of $247 an hour. And, being able to work as a Texas representative at this hour is pretty much what I represent at the hour of District 10 and Phase 2 and, more into F451. So, that's pretty much what all this represents as you come up with a big code number that represents more of Restaurant Depot, but Austin code as well. So, it's pretty much where the community gets its treaty compromises from, and, pretty much where you're using at least like 739 grams of sugar. So, that's pretty much where you starting a real tradition of faith, coming from Virginia, Massachusetts, and, that was just basically back in 1966, and, that's pretty much where you see a lot of Austria Lagoon, exemplifying that it is a fact of yearly age that's been affected in the year of 1979, and, that's pretty much where you're using more towards driving, and, using more privilege towards driving at that hour. So instead of having the privilege to drive 200 cars, that's pretty much what that Infinity costed at that time, worth that $89,989. The dealership asked me, do you know of any, did you know that there are more cars running on the road now? And, it's pretty much where you can going through on codes like that as you figuring out conflicts and scenarios and situations. And, that's just 755 different profiles at the time. So you full of leads at the time, as long as you grab this code. And, that's pretty much where you're using that 730 times to fill in PMC2 squared calibrations and contributions. And, just being able to be used up like Western Union or MoneyGram at that time. And, basically what you're doing is, instead of spending it again, you're being able to use it fully for real, as investors find that type of currency. And, it's pretty much where you're using Cadillac or Infinity or Tahoe or Denali. You're using that 2018 swing at the time. So, it's pretty much where you're using $755 of copies and duplicates. And, pretty much where you're using more for the propelled benefit area of 73,525. So, that's pretty much where you're paying for. You pick 1 out of 17 here, and you got 179,925. And, that's pretty much where I was trying to use that with Speedy Cash, MoneyGram, and Western Union, and, wasn't able to get a clarified perception of that. And we know that the money is available to be sourced at a time at like this, just because it's not 2008, it's not 2018, but it's 2026 as well. So, it's pretty much where after 2022 you leave to 2026, and you go to Amarillo, Houston, Dallas. You just go between the two, and, you just start in small steps. And, it's pretty much where you read music, you learn how to read music and stuff like that. So, it's pretty much a bigger 779,925, and, basically, so you want to start small. So you start with that $5 79 925 after you have five different 79 925. So that's pretty much where you're using that for systematic updates at the time. So it's pretty much where you're using 792% to promote that detail, and it's pretty much where you're using Mad No 8, Frostbite, Midnight Club LA, Gran Turismo 7. It's pretty much where you get more of a Google Interactive spot. And it's pretty much who carries these type of codes. Google Interactive carries these type of codes in them. So it's pretty much where we're using $78,820 and 59 cents in nickels to promote more of that scenario. And it's pretty much where you're leaving 87.75 at least 45 times. So that's pretty much where the bigger bank sees that blue, green, and orange. So that's at least $12 million results at the time. So you working on at least 12 invoice and at least 12 and at least 12 yeah, that's pretty much it. You pretty much have that invoice, and it's pretty much as you have 12 invoice. And basically you start with having a purple, orange, and green transit area for that area. So you starting here, and you need to be here. So that's basically where you're using more of 8775 codes to get over here to where you in your destination 87.75% of the time. So it's pretty much using 839 different codes, 1839 to 2009. And that's pretty much where you're using a full sufficiented $58,300 ranking. So it's pretty much where you're using more towards established prometrics as you spanning up to about 30 million of 30,000 every 345 months. So it's pretty much where you're using 9808.45 again. So it's pretty much as you're making 935 batches of fries for 5 weeks in a row. So that's just using 441 extra packages of fries at that time, using CNN, Sports Center, and that's just a group of 93,785% of propelled benefits at the time, which is just like Jeopardy or just like Deal or No Deal at the time, which means there's a whole bunch of time elapsed in it, and you're basically going through your phases of time at the time. So that's basically where you're working on at $12 million results, and what you're doing with it is basically bulking up the products to where you have 775,745 units of product, and they basically are saved and compressed for the next 1875 months. And that's pretty much where you're being able to use more for the amount. So it's pretty much where you're using Lexus, Chrysler 300, and yes, it's stereotypically the 2018 edition of 7845. And it's pretty much where you're using 24,400 to use as a voucher to promote those details. So that's over about 755 ways how to promote 54 different compounds and statistics at that time. So it just depends on what type of statistics do you want. Do you want to run? Do you want to hang out? Do you want to sit down and watch movies? You're not really going to be able to watch TV on those types of details, but you can watch movies, and watching movies is pretty much how you entertain your way through the season. So it's pretty much watching Are We Done Yet, or Are We There Yet, or Johnson Fair Vacation, or even a few other movies that you like to watch in 2012 or 2022. So that's pretty much where you're using your whole benefit at that time, and that's worth about 79,945 a year, which I use that 14 times a decade, and it's pretty much where you're getting your wealth from. So it's pretty much coming from capital reserves of max preps, and being able to promote more for Dave Campbell's magazines as well, and being able to inspire the whole performance by spaghetti. And this is pretty much where you want to be able to build a stronger base towards um, my territories and um, my territories and my programs. And it's pretty much where you're using a whole bunch of catfish industries to promote for those details, as you promote more for 799 candidates. So that's just basically using 17 batteries to promote that every single year after 2018. And it's pretty much where you're using your car models to promote more healthy advancements for that area. So it's pretty much where you're using more environmental investments. So that's all in all what you do at EcoLeaf. That's pretty much what EcoLeaf is about. Instead of it being insurance investments, it's more of that situational investment type deal. So it's basically working on 73.95 instead of 98.48. And the thing is, you can put them right next to each other, and you're gonna be able to tell after 5 minutes of what they is. After you duplicate 5 different descriptions of that detail. So they're just working with more of eco herb and eco leaf as they illustrate. And they're not the only ergo herb 247 out there, but that's just the younger posses out there. So you just want to make sure they're illustrating more of their political science that they represent, and being able to keep their communities clean. And it's pretty much working with Greg Abbott, Lloyd Doggett, and Mitt Romney from different subscriptions of time. And it's pretty much working with 1973 to 2093 as you're right in the midpoint of another of the 792 coordinate at that time. So it's pretty much where you're working on air rushing, and being able to know more about aerospace, and understanding more about the next location's entertainment sufficiencies, as far as to knowing rush hour and majority of how you handle yourself. So it's pretty much where you're using the usual $5 exchange for that, since it's so recommended at the time. And it's just been since 1979 to 2020, and that's not bad actually. If you would have been smoking in 1935 to 1945, it would have been bad on the economy system. So that's basically where you were just smoking cigarettes, and being able to particulate in 1835 results as a pilgrim. And, being able to look at 1998 to 2038, is pretty much where you just being a citizen on the landscape, where you're looking for citizenship, and being able to promote more for positive consumption. And it's pretty much where you're using graph exchanges as well. So not only does graphs like these, but it does graphs that hold at least $5.20, and seeing how you can break that down into 522 dimes out of 522 dollars. And it's pretty much where you're using $28,889 to promote that detail. So that's pretty much where you're looking for $5, and you see people that have at least $221 on them. So that's pretty much going to that detail, and being able to promote more towards that Spotify, or more towards that iTunes, or more towards that outer box type deal. So that's pretty much where you're using more towards retail sales. Instead of selling 131, you sell 984. That's where you collecting sales at right there. So that's about $799.54. So that's pretty much where you're using that $12 million results coming from. And it's pretty much where you're paying for almost everything that comes along with that column of that outer box, or that iTunes channel, or that or that software channel. So that's another 87.75 point right there. You want to put 343 dimes on that, so it'll be a more sturdy incline on it. So it's pretty much where you're working. Instead of having one finger, you have three fingers on the ball, and that's pretty much where you want to be able to have a full capacity grip to it. And it's pretty much where you're getting 739 yards of progressive detail in 4 to 3 years. So it's pretty much a good run for a systematic system at the time. So it's pretty much we're using a high grade hybrid system, and being able to promote for the team ingestion of a smaller compound. So it's using 739 different units to promote more for that 73,935 unit at the time. So that's just working with 739 ppm of purple, orange, and green effects, which is least likely to be any, knowing that it's at least 235 of them in dimes. And it's pretty much where you're using 5747 compounds. That's a group of JB Hunt inner models. And pretty much every code that you see nowadays is going to be a group of JB Hunt models ready to interact with you. So it's pretty much part of community service right now in 1899 to 1930. And it's pretty much where you can expand your horizon as much as you want, as long now that it's 1914, and you have that leverage of purple, peach, and green. So you can't really go no higher above 75% after after that's been known to be a midpoint. So that's like somewhere to Caldwell and instead of Giddens or Elgin. So that's basically where you're working on a 98-48 statistic. So yeah, other than that, yeah, that's the basics.